Okay, got it. Okay, so the board members in attendance, I'm Sarah Fotheringham.
I am Billy Rowe.
I'm Susan Brown.
I'm Ruth Hansen.
Melissa fell off and she's coming back in.
Okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I pushed the wrong button.
And then did David step away for a second?
Yes, there's an empty chair.
Okay.
Just for the sake of the video, Sarah, can you say the date that the notice was sent out again, please?
Yeah, so the email was noticed to homeowners about today's meeting on November 29th, letting them know that we were gonna get together as a board along with homeowners to present our final two options regarding HOA management companies. And the plan is to discuss them and review the bids, answer homeowner questions, and then eventually vote on a management company by the end of the evening.
Okay, and then David, you still need to introduce yourself.
I'm David. I'm here.
Okay, great. So David sent us, the board, a really comprehensive breakdown. And the two management companies, so at the beginning of the month, when we heard from ACS that they were going to be canceling services, we reached out to as many management companies as possible. And we started with them and getting bids and phone calls and emails. And that culminated to us narrowing it down to 4 HOA companies. And we had a Zoom conference with them the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And at that time, we were able to ask really in-depth questions, really get a feel for the companies. After we concluded the Zoom meetings, we sent out a final email with a handful of brass tacks questions and asking the companies for their final bids. And based on their final bids, we decided to choose between IM HOA and HOA West. And David, if you want to give the quick breakdown of comparing the two financially, that'd be really helpful.
Sure. Okay. So IM HOA has essentially a flat monthly fee. So they don't charge for extras or things like that. They're $2,200 a month. And there was like only one thing that they tacked on extra. If we did taxes through them, would be like an extra $375. What you see is what you get with them. It was in their contract that they could increase the inflation up to 3% without board approval, is what they said. But they said they also take into account workload. So sometimes it doesn't increase, sometimes it does, and it can go over 3 with board approval. HOA West was $9.50 a home, which starts out at $1,377 a month. They did have an initial setup cost of $40 a house, which is I think it was 5,600 or 5,800.
5,800.
Which that was 5,800. If that was split over the first year, that would effectively make our first year monthly payment be 1,800. And then they had written in the contract and 4% inflation the first year, 3% thereafter, with a cap at about $11 an hour, $11 a house. So by the using that inflation by about 2025, what that looks like is $10.50 a home, which is just under $1,600 a house. Like I should have it pulled up, but it was right around here. And then the thing that is different, so they do tax filings free because they have probably because they have a seat in a management company, and then other things though are they're more likely to have one-off fee spending. So like, for example, in insurance, if they were to work on a claim for more than 5 hours, they would take 10% of the insurance claim. So we need to watch out for things like that, for extra things that we're not asking them to do more to be able to have that price. Otherwise, the price would be higher than what it was. So that's kind of. Did you want anything else between those two?
I just want to.
anything?
Can I like clarify something possibly, and maybe we don't know. I thought Sarah and I were, when we were looking at the page, it wasn't 10%, it was $100, right? For the insurance claims. Sarah, do you remember?
So when I called HOA, I called I am HOA today. I'm just pulling my notes up.
But while you're pulling that up, I think when we were reading Exhibit A, it wasn't 10% for insurance claims. It was $100. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I'd have to look. I'll try to find it while you're looking at
Yeah,
it.
it's $100 per hour.
Okay. Thanks, Susan.
There's also a question in the chat.
Ooh, a question in the chat.
The other Sarah. Sarah.
I don't know how to see those.
You just click the little chat.
Oh, okay.
Is a cost comparison written down anywhere, and what the cost difference per month is for the individual homeowner? Dave.
So his cost comparison written down anywhere, and what the cost per month is.
Sorry, David, you broke up on that.
1 second here.
Is Susan trying to talk? Oh, okay.
All right, can you still hear me?
You're just breaking up a little bit, like your face was frozen for a while. So, but I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hopefully that doesn't ruin too much. What it looks like per door. It's an actual cost per door the first year because of the initial fee for HOA West is $12.83 a door. IMHOA is $15.39 a door, which is a $2.55 difference between the two. The second year, HOA West is $9.88, where IMHOA is still $15.39, so it's a $5.51 difference. And then the third year, it's like $10.18. So which is a $5.21 change. So it's like they get closer and closer, but we don't even hit the cap until after 4 years. So we would always be less to HOA West.
You broke up at the end of that again.
In addition, we did check up on references. Sorry. In addition, we did check up on the references for both companies. HOA West, we We didn't find any major problems. The reviews on Yelp were the problems they did have dealt with parking regulations, which were more CC&R problems and management problems. For IMHOA, there was an issue that there where if it was, I guess if a problem got too big that they could not talk to you because it happened to somebody and they yeah, they didn't look home or anything like that. So let's see. Yeah, second year was $9.88 a day.
Okay, she says, thank you. Can you clarify how that relates to our current HOA fee? I think she's meaning ACS. Are you, or our current like 175? Are you saying our monthly fees go from 175 down to $15?
No.
You're breaking up, David.
What I'm saying is $175. Of our $175, $9.88 of that would be going to the management company, or $15 would be going to the management company, depending on which one we went with. So,
and what was
so it's not that our 175 is going down. What was what?
What was going to ACS? I think that's a good. Do you know how much per door?
Yeah, on that.
It was just over $10 a door.
Okay.
So they were $1,500 a month.
I'm sorry, we're having a real hard time hearing you. I don't know if anyone else is having that problem.
Yeah, I am as well. So it comes out to $10.34 a door at $1,500 for ACS.
Okay, so it's comparable.
Yeah, let me try to switch to a different mic. Maybe that'll work.
Okay, so it sounds like each of them are comparable or a little bit more than what we were currently doing with ACS, but our fees will stay the same. Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know if our fees will stay the same. It depends on what we determined from the reserve study that was done. So I'm not sure whether or not our fees will stay the same, but this is just to kind of give the comparison of what our cost is currently with the HOA management company.
Okay. Yeah, because I just, many people, I don't know, probably living within a budget. And so that probably the concern is what can we do to stay within the range that we're staying in, while looking at these options would be my only feedback.
Okay.
Yeah, Cameron, we don't, what was your question again? Let's see, we don't know. What'd you say? Basically, our dues going to be, oh, not you, before you, our monthly fees expected to go up with either company? No, like not necessarily. Like right now, HOA West, oh wait, HOA West with the add-on prices a little bit more. Yeah, the first year. So I don't know.
Yeah. So can you hear me now?
Yes.
That's better.
Okay. So the first year, the fees would be up higher because it would be $1,800 a month versus $1,500 a month. So like there is a little bit of increase there, but after that, until like year 5, we're going to be less than ACS.
And so when David says less, what that means is that we're allocating less money out of your 175 to management. So that frees up more money out of the 175 to either go to reserves or operating costs to have things keep moving in the neighborhood. It doesn't mean the fees are going to go down. It just means how we're shifting money around.
I was just gonna say, I just keep the money for repairs or something.
Yeah.
Right, and that's definitely what we're looking at, is whether we want, how we want to allocate the money, whether we want to prioritize, you know, management company, reserves, or operating expenses. And that's why we're down to the two. It's how we want to allocate the funds.
Jess said, I would be interested to know the biggest difference between what the companies provide.
I think that's a great point, Jess, because for me, there is a huge difference in price. However, I see that because you're getting more experience and more service with the more expensive company compared to the other one, the lesser one, HOA West.
And when you say service, Susan, do you mean like their portal?
No, not just the portal, customer service. They're a larger company. They have more experience. They have more employees, more resources.
Yeah, Jess, one of the things that in all the meetings that I was looking for was ability to handle not just us coming on as a new client, but if they take on future clients. Part of that is an experiential measurement for me. I look at the experience that a company has. I will say there is a vast gap in years of experience between the two organizations. I think it was 5 years for 5 years for West, and I'd have to look at my notes, but I want to say definitely well above 10 years for HOA. Another thing that I was looking at, which I felt was important to the community, was HOA, though it's not this smooth, pretty looking thing. They do have a portal that allows our homeowners to have a lot more insight into the work order flow that's taking place on their action items. So one of the examples that they communicated back to us was, for instance, if there's an action item put in for a repair, let's say right now I know we have a handrail repair that we're looking at dealing with. That portal, once the homeowner opens that in the portal, it does show when HOA reaches out to the vendor. So it will allow us to be able to identify what is maybe causing time delays in a process. And then it kind of just follows that email went out. Okay, this is what was responded. And it kind of puts everything into one action item for the homeowner to be able to see. But I will say one of the things that HOA West did communicate was that, hey, we understand we don't have the experience, but one of the things that we are known for is our communication, that we have excellent communication. And though I think that that's great, I think communication is very important. One of my concerns is excellent communication is a wonderful thing until you're overwhelmed. And as a smaller organization, if they do become overwhelmed or if they take on clients too rapidly, we could see some drop in that communication. And what I've seen from the interactions that I've seen with homeowners and conversations that I've had with people, it has been that they kind of feel like they're out of the loop on what's taking place with things. And I think that this board has done a really good job of getting in there, sending emails, sending pictures, being that conduit of communication. But I felt like that was something that was needed for our community. And so for me, though I do look at price, because I mean my profession is cost analysis, I do look at price. But when I start looking at the difference in price, understanding that just like Sarah said, even if, let's say, we raise to the West price by $3 or however much it's going to be, even if we raise our HOA fees by $3, once that price goes down, it's up to us to reallocate that money, because I'm in 3 different HOAs and I've never seen the HOA fee go back down. Like, oh, well, we got enough money for reserves and we don't need additional money for emergencies, so let's go ahead and lower the fees. I have seen them stay the same, stay flat, but I've never seen them in all of the 3 HOAs that I'm a part of. I've never seen them say, okay, great, we had a great year, made some good investments, let's lower the HOA fee and take in less revenue. I've never seen that.
So something I've been looking at when we've been doing it is I do think one of the biggest complaints in the neighborhood is not necessarily being able to track your action item, but how you're responded to with your action item. Was it dismissed? Was it just closed? So just getting answers to your action items. I have a really hard time believing that anything can be worse than where we were at in the last year. And David has worked with HOA West's portal before, and I think it's a well-oiled machine. It will get the job done for what we need to get done. Costs will be a bit lower and more money can go to operating funds, which I think is what the neighborhood wants more, is they want things fixed. They want, when they put in an action item for a repair, they want the repair done. They want the neighborhood to look nice and good. So those are things that I'm looking at also.
In addition to checking, when we check the references, like as far as experience wise go, like HOA West was like, they had HOAs, HOA West had 1,000 homes in one of their properties. They've managed, for one person, they've managed over a dozen projects well. Like for our size community, I think they have definitely enough experience to do what they need to do. And having used Appfolio before, you can also track the item from the start to finish.
Hey, David, quick question. When you asked them about the projects that they had overseen, did they tell you how much that cost?
Did they say the cost of the projects that they oversaw?
Yeah, they're arranged.
And arranged depending on the project. And that's one of the things that HOA West is different from IMHOA is, well, IMHOA also said that if you had to have hands-on for additional projects, they would cost more. And so both of those, I think, are washed that way, in that they'll take a look at the work that you're going to do and then make an assessment. Both of those companies did not say that they will, do everything for us. If there's additional stuff other than financials and collecting checks and preparing financial statements, like there's still going to be assessments and things on projects that we asked them to do for both companies. So I don't think that's a comparable thing. If both of them are going to say, well, we got to do this much work, well, that's going to cost this much, and we won't know.
I was just curious because that was something we had talked about frequently, is not knowing how much the extra projects were cost. So just where you had talked to a company about it, I was curious if you found out how much, because that's been like a big discussion point for us, is we don't really know. It's like an open-ended question. We have no idea, no frame of reference. So I was just curious if they had told you an amount.
I see.
So they reevaluate their vendors that they're using too every year. And so they go down to the lowest price. They don't stick with it.
Yeah. I mean, the reference said that HOA West does make sure vendors are at the lowest cost every year. That's what the reference said. So.
Oh, okay. Well, but that usually just comes back on the board because we determine the bids and
exactly
references. So that's.
Hey, somebody asked how many years are we contracting with either company? Is it a year?
I believe HOA West was a 2-year contract to start. I don't recall IMHOA.
Both of them have the 30-day clause, and that's based on our CCNRs. So we can end service at any time for any reason with 30-day notice.
Yeah, and IMHOA is a 1 year with a 30-day out clause by either party. And yes, West is a 2-year contract term, and it says,
Go ahead, sorry.
I show here in my notes, it says 60-day notice, 1 year automatic renewal, and then a 30-day cancellation at renewal.
If that's what the contract says, it would have to be adjusted because our CCNR say 30. So
Okay.
Also, I would say if we did go with West, you wouldn't want to cancel after 1 year because of that fee to get everyone set up. That would hurt.
And your annual fee drops 1%.
How were they comparison on financial reports? Do you remember off the top of your head, anyone?
IMHOA had monthly financial reports. HOA West had quarterly ones, but we would have David subsidize the monthly report necessity in that regard. So they provide quarterly at West, but David would provide the additional 2 months.
Did anyone call references on IMHOA?
I didn't see that.
We reached out, but nobody answered for those.
So like for me, I know that there's a lot of different ways to look at it, like per unit cost, setup fee, no setup fee, taxes and things like that. And just kind of the feel that I get personally, and having talked to other people, is that people, if fees are going to go up, they would want the fee money to be going to neighborhood necessity rather than management company. Partly because of the way the previous action items and budgets and things were done. I know that a lot of people were frustrated with where's my money going? And I think that if we get with a management company, regardless of which one we choose, and we afford that to everyone so that they can really clearly and quickly understand where their 175 is being allocated. And then if we do increase fees, understanding where that, $5, $10, $15, $20 increase would go, I would, as a homeowner, not as a board member, I would prefer that money to go to operating costs, like fixing like carports and things and like assessing the garbage problems rather than management. But I can understand what you're saying, Billy, with HOA or IMHOA's portal with the tracking. So I think it's kind of like a tit for tat as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think one of the things in here in the chat, somebody said that they're really happy with how the communication has been flowing with the board. I think that is commendable for the board to have that level of communication flowing where the homeowners feel like they're being spoken to or communicated with. I mean, like I said, HOA West did say that part of their strength was communication. But then I look at things like, okay, how much, because I feel like we basically just set a standard in the last 30 days on what communication should look like. I just don't want to jeopardize that standard. And so I look at, if you're able to provide me, to Susan's point, your staff is able to provide me monthly financials because you have the bandwidth to do that. When you say, hey, look, I really kind of only want to do this on a quarterly basis, as an analyst, I say, okay, well, do you not have the headcount to produce this on a monthly basis? Why is quarterly the reason we're approaching this quarterly approach? And so if you don't have the FTE headcount in order to do a quarter or to do a monthly report, which I would think they would be able to do that, then my my concern is the level or the quality of communication that we've kind of just set the precedence for is now, ooh, do I want to risk $5,800 to put that out there? Because to Melissa's point, we can't, though we have a 30-day out clause, there's no way I can, in good conscience, it'd have to be a pretty significant issue for me to vote to say, hey, let's go ahead and leave a year early, knowing that we just paid $5,800. That's just not fiducially responsible. And from my perspective is like what I perceive what my role should be as a voice for homeowners. That would just be like, we make that commitment to go here, we're pretty much committed until we get our money back. And that might come with some challenges that suck. I mean, that's the only word I can use. I'm sorry, that just sucks.
But like I said earlier too, I have a hard time imagining that we'll get anything worse than what we've been dealing with recently.
But that's
Well,
where
I can tell you we sure can. We can have worse than what we've had, for sure. We've had it in the past.
But to the point, I'm not worried about what we had. This is our future. This is not our past. So in worrying about, I'm not trying to outdo ACS. I was just there today and I wasn't impressed. So that's not my bar. ACS is not my bar. It's not, let's do better than ACS, because that's such a low bar that that's still not good. And so I'm looking at it from, how do we do the best that we can? Like, what's the best for us? And so that's why I say I'm looking at the bar of communication that was set. I'm not using ACS's bar. I'm using the bar that we set over the last 30 days, because to me, that's a realistic and an achievable goal to set for somebody who's going to come in and take care of my neighbors and the people that I care about. So that's why for me, I'm not, ACS's, I can see similarities between ACS and companies if I'm looking at a company, but I'm not saying, well, at least they're better than ACS. That's just not how I make decisions.
I don't know if that came off across wrong. Like, I'm not using that bar either. Obviously, like, we've done great in the past 30 days, and that's not going to go away no matter what management company we have. Like, we're still going to have same communication.
I agree.
And I'm not convinced that IMHOA is actually going to do a better job than HOA West at this point. I do know that if we go with HOA West, over 4 years, we would save $30,000, and that could fix a lot of handrails. So, like at a point where I think we're trying to find ways to repair our community, keep our home value up. I feel like HOA West can do a good enough job, if not a better job, because we won't be able to compare unless we do simultaneously. And I don't want to do that. So, but like, I feel like HOA West could do a good enough job for what we need. And then we can use the extra money to help fix up our community.
I also, in my notes from the Zoom meeting with IMHOA, so their initial proposal to us was to meet quarterly as well. And part of the renegotiation was to then meet monthly. And what Dave said is that the reason they like to meet quarterly is because it commits boards to making decisions. So part of their reasoning for wanting to meet quarterly was that, but they were willing to meet monthly with us as part of the negotiation. So I don't know if
was that West or IMHOA.
Dave said that.
Okay.
So like when Dave McConkey from HOA West, when we were first meeting with them, their proposal was to meet quarterly as well. And then, like I said, his reasoning for them meeting quarterly was because it forced boards to have an agenda, make decisions, and be more prudent in their actions. And so the only reason that they're now monthly is because of the renegotiation.
Okay. And just for the clarification, because you went between West and HOA in that.
Did I say it wrong?
You said it like backwards twice.
Okay, let me try again. HOA initially was going to meet with us quarterly, and their reasoning behind it was it forced boards to be more prudent in their decisions, and it forced them to be more proactive versus just meeting each month and tabling decisions. And the only reason that changed was part of the negotiation.
Thank you.
Okay. And Sarah, you called IMHOA today, right?
Right, so I had two questions really quick. I want it because I didn't see anything in their emails about an initial setup fee. And Dave said that there wasn't. And then I asked because I also didn't see the a percentage increase. And he said the verbiage in the contract, and that's why he emailed it up to us today. The verbiage is that they can do up to 3% without board approval. And after 3%, they get board approval. And he said, so my notes I wrote, they meet with the board in July or August to look over the budget for the year. And they look at it like, how does it work? Does their work match the fee that they're charging? And the IMHOA determines that and presents it to the board, and there's no max increase. He said that there's been times they've increased at 0. There's been time they've increased at 10%. But anything above 3% has to be board approval. So I would assume if they're saying, hey, you guys are a lot more work, we want to increase it 5%, and we don't agree with that, then I guess we come to an impasse and we move on. And again, that's just assuming based on his verbiage.
Did either company, remind me, did they deal with rentals or anything like that? Did they manage rentals as well, or were they strictly HOA for both of them?
West has, let me go with IMHOA first. IMHOA is HOA focused. And I have the note for experience, and with 20 years of experience. And West is financials.
I think they started out with rentals and things and then moved into the HOA space. And I think they're currently now HOA only.
I don't have, unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't have a note on their focus. So I'd have to just take your word for that, David.
I mean,
I trust you though.
Maybe they're a little mixed, but what I do know is they did manage an HOA with 1,000 units. Ours is a 10th that size. So.
Right, but HOA did one that was like 10,000. Not currently, but she had in the past.
She as in Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did ask Dave. I asked if he knew who would be managing our account. And he said that his wife is Sarah. I didn't realize that until today. That he said that we would be given to Sarah, and she would probably offset some of her smaller accounts to focus on us. And then my note from the Zoom meeting from HOA West is that they've got a CPA on board, and that not one person is assigned to each property because all of them are well versed in each property's dealings. So.
There were two things, and I don't know, David, if you're the one that called HOA West, there were two things when I looked over their contract that concerned me. The first is that they talk about manager discretion for additional services. They talk about additional services a lot in their contract. And I just wasn't, I mean, does that just mean kind of at any point? There's no limits on that. So I wasn't sure what that meant. And then the other thing to remember is that they get 25% of the reinvestment fee. So we would no longer have that full amount as an income.
And that only takes place when houses or when townhomes are sold.
Yeah.
Also, so IMHOA has, or maybe I'm backwards. HOA West has the $40 new homeowner fee, like to set up their account and everything. What is it for IMHOA?
You just told us that you confirmed they didn't have one, I thought.
That
No.
was for our,
That's for the management company, like how we have to pay the 5,800 to HOA West.
That was setup fee.
Okay, excuse me, setup fee. So regarding homeowner fees, homeowner setup fee, I've got here that HOA West is $40. What is IMHOA's?
They don't have one.
No, when somebody sells their home and the transfer fee, they charge around $140 or $150 that the buyer would need to pay. I think that's what the question you were asking.
Yeah, sorry, thank you. So,
Yeah, IMHOA, it's $250 for new homeowner purchase. And then they had a lien letter fee of $150, which is typical. And then, yeah, we know what HOA West is.
what was HOA West?
Theirs was the $40.
So it's $40 per unit to equal the 5,800, and it's $40 per unit when a home is sold.
Yes, because that's the setup fee. That's my understanding, unless someone else understood it differently, plus 25% of the transfer fee.
Sorry, I'm reading the chat. That was longer than I anticipated to read. The book.
So Seth, was that pro IMHOA or was that pro HOA West?
Well, experienced, I think we've already laid out what the differential in experience is. I don't ever want to speak for anybody, but if he's saying I'm having the most skilled and or experienced people around me first and having good communication. Yeah, I mean, that the argument against that though would be that you can be as experienced as you want to be, but if you can't communicate,
I feel like communication is experience, honestly.
right.
I think one thing that concerns me is the high number of rentals that we have. And that usually increases the demand on the management. And I just worry sometimes about how many rental units we have and how much that will increase the services that we need from our management. I think that's why I lean towards more experienced.
But Susan, if I'm not mistaken, then based on what Sarah said, if there's more demand, then would we not forecast or project that IMHOA's fees would increase because the service level agreement, we'll say, is higher than originally anticipated?
No, because not my opinion, because I think that's why they gave such a thorough bid. And they said that they were familiar with our community. They looked up our bylaws. I think that HOA West did the same thing. And they said that based on that, that's where they came to their amount. And that's why they stuck by it, even though it was higher than other people. And because they have a larger business, I feel like they'll be, like you said before, the bandwidth is there to handle the increase in demand.
Did we get how many FTE were at both companies? Full-time employees, I'm sorry.
I don't think we asked that. I mean, I know that Zach is the CPA at HOA West, and then there's Gina, and the owner is Tom. And then I know that IMHOA is a lot larger, and all I know is Dave and Sarah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, all I have is David and Sarah on them.
So,
Okay, well, I think the best thing we can do now is just kind of open it up for feedback. I mean, there's been some stuff in the chat. Jess has definitely put some stuff. Seth wrote a book. But for me, I'm all for, we're the board, but we're basically servants of the community. I'm all for hearing what the community has to say, and then we just put it to a vote, if you guys are okay with that.
yeah, I think that's great. So
I'm okay
if,
with that.
like Billy's saying, if you guys want to write anything in the chat or you've got any comments or questions, but now would be the time for that.
You gotta get Jeopardy. Somebody came off of mute. I didn't catch who it was. Sorry.
I feel like Jess has something to say.
A lot of people attending.
I'll say something.
Okay.
I think is my concern, just on the financial side and being conservative that I am. I worry about not knowing what the additional costs would be if they're talking about charging something beyond just the straight up fee. Not knowing that makes it hard to make a decision, because that leaves it pretty wide open on both of them if they're charging extra fees. So how do we really know what's more financially sound for our association if we don't know, given scenarios, and how much they're going to charge? Because one might be pretty fair and the other one might, charge a pretty hefty fee just to do something simple.
That's a valid question. From the reference that we checked, he said there was no nickel or diming that he saw from HOA West. Anything that was cost extra had to be board approved before they did a thing. So we would not go into anything with being blind with HOA West. So in either scenario, because IMHOA gives like a flat fee except for projects too, HOA West has a very similar feature.
And aren't a lot of the extra charges and like what they might charge in Exhibit A for HOA West?
Yeah. And then
So I don't-
also in my notes for both of them, it says that anything, like David just said, anything additional would be brought to the board to either approve or not before it was done. So we wouldn't be getting surprise bills.
Next.
Jess put in the chat, it says, it seems as if both companies could potentially add extra fees. I agree with that assessment. Just out of curiosity, when was the last time our HOA fees were, I mean, I haven't been here long enough, so when was the last time the HOA fees were raised?
January, wasn't it?
6, 5? What numbers are you giving me, Melissa? Stop!
I don't know.
Definitely not
4, 5,
January.
6. It's been a while, hasn't it?
And over 5 years.
Okay.
I was guessing between 4, 5, and 6. Those are my numbers.
This is
4, 6. It's somewhere in there. Mitch said 2 years. I don't know. Went from 168 to 175. Was that
Yeah,
2
that's
years?
what I remember, just because I've only lived here 3 years. So I know it's increased just in the 3 years I've lived here.
Would we go from one? Was it like a
168
$5 increase?
$7.
Yes, I remember I didn't sign. I remember I didn't sign approval, so I had late fees because I didn't know. I had to say, yes, you can take out
Let's
more.
go back to 5 years ago and let's make it 150. That looks good.
So in the past 5 years, we'll say it's gone up to what, $25, which is just a little under 15%. That's pretty on par with, unfortunately, right now, the way inflation is working. That seems pretty on par, about 3%. If we're saying I'm sorry, let me be clear on my thoughts. What I'm thinking about is, as we bump up the fee for management within either one, well, technically one wouldn't have to bump up for 5 years, according to your numbers, David. We would be at some point, I mean, even in the next 5 years, at year 5, we'd be increasing our fees. And I, with the price of just goods and services, I foresee that we would be increasing fees sooner than that, but that's just me.
So Sarah said in the chat, whatever impacts the homeowner the least financially is my vote. The lower the monthly fees, the better. I've lived here for 12 years and never had anything repaired, paid for, etc. by the management company or HOA. Whichever keeps our monthly payments the lowest is my vote. And Jess said same. And then Ruth said, because there's the potential from either company of extra fees, I like the idea of the board having to approve or deny. So just addressing like Sarah's comment, that's kind of more why I think that HOA has so many bells and whistles that are awesome, that would really benefit our community, but those bells and whistles do have a cost. And I'm worried that if we went with HOA, we would increase dues, and as far as reserves and repairs, things wouldn't change because that extra increase would go to the management company. So that's the way that I've looked at it the whole time. And then the other comment, Ruth's was, where'd that go?
Said because there's, am I muted? Am I muted?
No.
Okay, because there's the potential from either company of extra fees, I like the idea of the board having to approve or deny.
Yeah. And that's with both companies as far as overages go.
Okay, does anybody else want to weigh in? Because other than that, I feel like we can move to vote.
I second that.
I third it.
You don't have to second the move to vote.
I fifth it, and that's bigger.
I didn't even move. I didn't even make a motion to vote. I'm
It's
just
done.
saying
It's done. David moves quick.
Okay, but really, right?
Yeah, let's
I'm
go
okay
ahead.
with that.
All right. Go ahead, Prez.
Okay, so we're gonna vote between the two management companies. The first will be HOA, and the second one will be HOA West. So since it's hard to know who is saying what on here, I guess we'll just do like a visual vote. So if you would like to vote for, what was that?
Sorry. So someone will just make a motion for either company, and then someone will second it, and then people either vote for or against it. It's just one
Oh, you
vote.
want to break them down individually? Okay.
No, not down individually. It's just whoever makes a motion for one or the other. And then there's a second for that one. And then we all vote either for or against whatever's motioned.
I motion.
For tracking, that's all.
Can I motion? I motion for HOA West.
And I will second your motion so we can vote on HOA West.
Awesome.
Okay, let's vote.
Is HOA West the one that had lower fees? I can't keep the two straight.
Yes. HOA West had the lower fees of the two.
I'm voting by
I vote
raising
for
my,
HOA West.
I'm voting by raising my electronic hand. Is that what you wanted?
Well,
Oh,
it's
that'll work.
only the board is who's voting. You guys just get to,
Oh, gotcha. Oh, we don't really get a voice. Okay, okay.
you get a
No, it's
voice. That's
good.
why we
I-
have to meet. We
No, I'm
definitely
teasing.
need to take
That's
it all
fine.
into consideration.
I lost your picture, Sarah. I thought you had raised your hand, so I was like, okay, we're doing the hand raise. Got it.
It's hard when there's
High
more than
five.
one.
The high five.
Okay, so like for the HOA West, that's who my vote is.
Okay.
So all
David,
of
your
you are
vote?
for HOA West.
My vote is also HOA West.
Based on what the homeowners said they want, my vote would be HOA West.
Also HOA West. Are we done?
What was the count? Susan, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I know, I was writing it down as fast as I could. Yeah, so we're in favor of HOA West.
Okay.
Susan, as far as like recording it, do you want that to be part like a separate email or included in, we're not going to do minutes for this meeting, are we?
I sure am.
Okay, perfect then. Okay, guys, well then.
You just muted yourself, Sarah.
You
had such a strong start.
and then the mute.
Hold up, I'm sorry. So that's the end of the meeting. So the meeting's over, and then we will draft up all the notes and everything and then determine whether we're going to email those out or post them, and then we'll make the necessary steps in continuing with moving forward with HOA West.
Cool.
Thank
you guys for
you.
all joining on. I appreciate it.
I just unmuted.
And see, I'm staying this time.
Good job, Billy.
We lost Melissa though.
There's always one of you that dip out early, huh?
Hey, I stayed this time. They can't point the finger at me.
Did she leave?
Yes, on accident.
Is there more to talk about?
Just really quickly, just like who's gonna do what moving forward regarding like getting the contract going. And
Do you know what I hope, Sarah? I hope like if we sign, as soon as we sign a contract, they should be able to reach out to ACS and get the documents faster than the night.
True.
do you think that'll be the case? Because the reason it was given to Billy was that Ryan wasn't there to get them. So if he's not there,
It's the 21st century. I am pretty sure.
that's
someone
why I
there
was
has
shocked. I
access
was like, you're
to them.
telling me nobody else in that office can get Billy any paperwork? Sure, whatever.
And if we are officially requesting it, if nothing else, our new management company can change on the state who our manager is. So they can officially stop doing anything on our behalf.
Okay. Oh, and then Susan, as far as like the vote, I guess it doesn't matter, but do you want, was yours in favor or no?
Yes.
Your camera is
sorry.
sideways.
Did you not
Melissa.
hear me?
I heard you.
There's a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Billy was listening.
Okay, perfect.
I have it as a unanimous vote. So
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, that's great. I think that was easy. I think homeowners got their questions answered. So then I guess I'll reach out to Gina tomorrow and let her know what her decision was, and we'll go from
Email
there.
her tonight. Email her tonight and tell
I'll
her
email
to
her right now. I will email her right now.
tell her to get that stuff tomorrow.
Right now.
You've got the contracts. Get it done.
Okay. I will email Gina right now.
So I'm just gonna put this vote on the bottom of our minutes so that at our official board meeting, we'll just approve any action we take place for the month. It'll all be on there. It'll just have a separate date. I'm not gonna include all the discussion if that's okay, where it was unanimous vote and we have the recording. I'll include the link if someone wants to look at it. Don't worry, I'll edit the recording so it doesn't include all this and I will stop.
I think that's fine.